Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores.
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1311. We do too many of them.
No, we don't.
May 20th.
Taking Fridays off, Mayor.
We are this Friday.
Oh, good.
What?
May 20th, 2024. 94 degrees on this day in 2009. 31 degrees in 1892. I know, I bet you anything the kids were swimming in 2009 on this day on beaches kept free of weeds and algae by Aquacide, a White Bear Lake products that have been helping people maintain Great Lake shores for more than 60 years. Aquacide products are easy to use. They work quickly, registered with the EPA and DNR. There's no need to let weeds overtake your lake or pond this summer. Call Aquacide today. Explain what you think the problem is, what you're looking at. They'll identify that and make sure you get the right products and your place will look great all summer long. Call Aquacide at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquacide.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Joe, on Friday's podcast, John Heidt said that Jason Aldean has no talent. So I thought I'd make a comparison of the two musicians, Jason Aldean versus John Heidt. One of these guys has 28 number one singles, 20 million albums sold, makes $40 million a year, and just sold part of his catalog for $100 million. The other guy plays guitar news for what might be the number one podcast in Anguilla.
Might be.
Might.
I guess at least some people think Mr. Aldean has some talent. Good luck, Tim.
So there.
Hey,
Tim, noted.
I knew that was what my guy was going to come.
John, that was a shot across the bow.
Wow. He really sold this part of his catalog for $100 million.
I have no idea if that was true or not. You know,
I'll look it
Rockets
up.
Red Glare writes, "Congrats, Mayor. You and the gang should definitely celebrate. Until Reavers, the shipping was lickety split.
Good.
And I still think he's the most underrated guy on the show.
Aw.
Good luck, Rockets Red Glare." And she sent a picture of herself in her new GL is number one in Anguilla t-shirt.
She told me at the Twins
And
game.
she must have had a successful shipping experience.
Yeah, she told me at the Twins game that she was going to order one.
Well, she did.
Very cool.
And apparently it worked, huh? And I've gotten a lot of notes. We don't read them all. Well, here's another one from Heidi. I hear my $1 million idea about taking a group to Anguilla has already been discussed. And taking Jeff. I had breakfast with Jeff Dayton Saturday morning. He absolutely wants to be the headline performer in Anguilla if we go.
We can make that happen.
Well, I don't know what we're going to do about Height.
What?
He won't fly.
Yeah, he won't, will he?
Take the train.
Well, don't say I won't.
With the right amount of medicine, guy will do almost anything.
Right.
Wait, we could. Remember the, you just reminded me of something, Rook.
Well, we're going to end and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, you are.
Well, you did already, pal, because it really would be tough to build a train across the ocean.
I don't know how they're going to do it, but he can do it. If he says they can do it, they can do it.
Floating tracks.
And I got a lot. I got a handful of emails from people who were celebrating, wish us to know, they were celebrating their experience in downtown Minneapolis last night.
Oh.
They enjoyed it. The Timberwolves crowds were down there.
Did we have viewing parties?
All over the place.
Apparently,
Yeah.
and it was very festive. Here's a couple, Craig and his wife, Carrie. They went to a Michael Jackson thing at a theater. What theater? At the Orpheum. And afterwards, they went to a bar and they were high-fiving people, strangers. And I guess the whole town was pretty lit up for the Timberwolves. Yeah. Well, that'll happen. I mean, if there's a big event, you're fine in downtown.
I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years. Bring your ass.
Bring your ass.
Right there on the sign as you cross over the St. Croix River, enter Minnesota.
Bring your ass.
Bring your ass. Ant is fun, isn't he?
He really
Why
is.
can't they play like that every
Let's
half?
go.
Every half.
I've gone from game now to half.
We'll just take a half.
I wrote them off at the end of the first half.
It was looking tough. It was.
I mean, 20 points, usually you write them off.
Right.
That kid, he's only 22. I think it's up to him.
You know what the big debate was this morning on the national outlets is he now the face of the NBA? Let's discuss.
I don't discuss those
Talk
things.
amongst yourselves.
I don't. I have no idea if he is.
He's a
or
good
he
power
isn't.
forward, but the five guy needs to come back and do rebounds.
I thought that was going to be the basis for today's show, Joe.
Yeah.
If he's into the
Matthew,
NBA.
could you write a Timberwolves guide for dummies? People that I've just started jumping on the bandwagon in the last few days.
There's one book you need to read: The Pick and Screen Offense, authored by
Rookie.
Mr. Horizon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rook, look up for me what it costs to attend Vermont State University Castleton campus. Castle with a T-O-N. What does it cost to attend Vermont State University's Castleton campus?
Sounds lovely, doesn't it?
And this is Dateline, Castleton, Vermont.
Okay.
I've never been to Vermont or New Hampshire.
Why do you avoid these?
I'm not avoiding them. I've just never been there. I've been to Maine. I've been to Massachusetts and Connecticut.
They're too
New
far
York.
inland. That's
But
why,
I bet
Joe.
they're gorgeous.
I bet they are,
You get your lakes.
especially this time of the year.
You got your leaves change color in the fall.
Yep.
You know, you got your little
A lot of
Bob
places
Newhart's
do.
got an inn in there somewhere.
What did you want to know? I'm seeing favorable things about this.
I want to know what it costs per year to attend it.
Average cost per year, this is after aid, is $17,970.
Yeah, all right.
So it's probably without aid is about 30 then, would you guess?
In-state to out-of-state tuition is 19, almost 20,000.
Let's call it 20.
Okay,
I went there, and that's probably not counting food.
correct.
So I went there, and I graduated, and I paid 20 grand. I'm sitting on the folding card table chairs on the football field
Oh.
over the weekend, and they're graduating. And we learned this. They decided to bestow an honorary degree of Doctor of Literature, Litter,
Oh,
on a cat.
come on.
See, I would have
litter
had trouble
on a
with
kitty
that.
cat.
On Max the cat, a beloved member of the community.
Do you get it? Literature?
I do. The Vermont State University's Castleton
Kitty.
campus, and I rest my case about these places being failed, is honoring the cat for his friendliness.
Joe,
He lives in a house with a human family.
Mr. Meow.
He lives with a human family on the street that leads to the main entrance to campus. So he decided he would go on campus, and he just started hanging out with the college kids, and they love him, owner Ashley Dow said. He's been socializing for years, and students get excited when they see him. They take selfies with him, and he even likes to go on tours with prospective students that meet at a building across from our house.
Aw.
Huh.
I don't know how he knows to go, but he does, Dow said, and then he'll follow them on their tour. The students refer to Dow as Max's mom, and graduates who return to town sometimes ask her how Max is doing. See, if I was a serious student, I would offer to drown the cat.
Right.
Well, you're a buzzkill.
I am.
You're when you walk in, the party dies and everybody
I wouldn't
goes home.
volunteer to drown the cat. That's very harsh, isn't it?
Joe.
How could you say an unkind word about Meow Max?
Yeah. Who stole your sense of humor, Joe?
Wow. When you started this story, I thought it was going to be another thing about the Catholic that was saying Catholic things at the Catholic college, and we're going to get all upset and we're going to yell at each other and be PO'd. Well, this just fills my heart with joy and love And it makes me love my fellow man and woman.
The cat was asked for a quote at the
Yeah.
celebration party afterwards.
Yeah. That reminds me of Toonses, the driving
Oh,
cat.
yeah.
The cat that could drive a car.
Toonses.
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 Didn't they always go over the cliff too?
Toots
every
is
Oh,
time?
the
yeah.
driving
Always.
cat.
Always.
Is that a
Look
television
how
It's from
Toots
that-
is.
It's from that show that hasn't been funny since 1974 that you refuse to watch, but you actually do watch every weekend and laugh,
What
but
show?
you're afraid to
Saturday
admit it.
Night Live.
She always wants to see the beginning, just in the hopes, because of her Trump derangement syndrome, that someone will be taking on Trump.
Copy.
You know what? I have a theory. This has nothing to do with home. Seriously, I have a new theory that part of the ridiculous response to this Harrison Butker giving remarks to the Benedictine college students, I think part of the foul treatment he received is linked to Trump. I think there's some Trump derangement syndrome in that kind of response that people just somehow it was very convenient for them to somehow. Never mind. Maybe that's a bad theory. But a lot of times I like to let garage logicians air it out. And we get a lot of emails from Howard Clary's, and he's been thinking about this Butker speech. And I think he's got some very wise counsel here. Because I think I agree with him completely. Joe, sometimes it takes a few days for me to formulate my thoughts about an issue. Something about Harrison Butker's comments weren't quite settled out, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It occurred to me that the people upset by this is that they're feeling threatened. But why? If a progressive woman spoke at a graduation and made comments to the effect of men with he, him pronouns, the most important role you can serve is to ensure that you are doing all you can to emasculate yourselves, my response would be, are you nuts? I'd worry about some of the male he, him people who would take that seriously, but be thankful for those who don't and go on my way. I'd be disgusted that anyone could take it seriously, to be sure. But would I feel threatened? No. Why? Because I'm sure of myself and what I see as my role as a man. Why? Because I know that I have free will. How? My faith tells me so. What do I think of Butker's? It's Butker.
Butker.
Boy. What do I think of Butker's comments? Well, old school to be sure. While his comments may have been somewhat insistent, bordering urgent, they are based on a couple of things. That all people of college graduating age should have free will, and his concern for the deterioration of the nuclear family. Butker's core message is there are many ways women can be fulfilled, and not to discount staying at home to be the caretaker for the family as one of them. Mm-hmm. The toughest, most respect-worthy woman I've ever known, other than my wife, is my mother. She stayed at home with us and was always there. There was no question as to who ruled the roost. My dad may have demonstrated self-asserted authority, but his power stopped at her border. Full stop. She was a charter member of Swimbo, she who must be obeyed. And so, in homage to her, I found someone like her and married that person, who, by the way, is a member of Daughters of They Who Must Be Obeyed. My wife has pulled double duty as a mom and has worked outside the home, not because I require it or don't require it. It was her decision. They are threatened. Here we go. This is it. This is exactly what took place last week. They are threatened because his comments undermine their efforts to deconstruct patriarchy. And that's exactly what this was. In this new world where cultural change can be achieved only through scorched earth tactics, compromise and coexistence is not an option. In order to tear down patriarchy, we must deconstruct the family. They are also threatened because the indoctrination at the failed academy is being questioned. They know that, like anything else exposed to the sun, it has less of a chance of survival. And so, to those offended or threatened by his comments, I ask you to consider not being so, or continue to feel threatened. Again, free will. If you are, know that you are not giving any credit to those young women who heard it for having critical thinking skills. Let them decide for themselves if this is what they want. If you are truly a believer in the strength of women, you owe them that courtesy. Best Howard. What was under attack with Butker's comments? Butker, right?
Butker.
Is patriarchy and the nuclear family. And the reason that it was so easy for a lot of people to boo and hiss is it goes completely against the grain of what they've soaked up in the failed academy. The failed academy, once again, proves to come home to roost as the source of virtually all of our cultural decline. They need to be held accountable. They aren't enough, but they're a failed academy. They're rotten to the core. They've disabused these kids of any notion of thinking for themselves. They've indoctrinated them, proselytized them. They've hectored them. Now, in all cases, of course not. There are kids getting legitimate degrees, and they're able to put this aside. They're able to ignore the BS they have to put up with on the college campus. But unfortunately, those kids are becoming fewer and farther between as these failed academies continue to churn out morons who get wind of us. Well, look at the morons who didn't even know why they were protesting,
Right.
living in tents. And then these kids get wind of a speech by Harrison Butker that they know just enough to know that they should be appalled by that because he's saying things they never talked about in the failed academy.
He didn't actually say that a woman should stay at home
Not
with
at
her
all.
kids.
Not even remotely
So,
close.
I don't.
He said that's an option.
I don't understand what.
Well, I think this explains it. It
maybe.
They want to undo patriarchy. They don't like the country. They didn't like the country's founding. They didn't like the fact that the country was founded by white people. They find the founding flawed. And here is a guy who basically was saying Chevrolet, apple pie, and the USA. And they can't stand that.
Are you guys assigning malice to these people?
Yes.
Or maybe they're just stupid.
No, I'm going with malice.
Okay.
A forethought.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I still stand by my first initial reaction, which was a Catholic saying Catholic things at a Catholic college.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we upset?
Well,
I don't get it.
Many people aren't, and many people have come forward to defend the guy, including Bill Maher, who continues to surprise me every once in a while. He's saying, what crime was committed here?
Yeah, he's still such a creepy guy, though.
He's a little creepy, but what crime? Well, there was no crime committed. None.
I love the stuff that Howard said about the him nonsense. He just really hit it on the head for me.
That would have been cheered. He's right. If a progressive what do they call WNBA?
Yeah.
If a progressive WNBA player spoke at a small private college and praised men for emasculating themselves, it would have been cheered because that's what they want to hear in the failed academy. That's what they have.
But
that would have been cheered.
They also want me to pull over in the middle of a blizzard when they're buried in the snow and use my big giant four-wheel drive and my tow strap to pull them out of there and then escort them to safety. So, you know what I mean? They don't like toxic males until they need one.
Well, both the progressive speaker would ask you to pull over, and so would the male who's been emasculated.
Yeah.
You got tow rope?
Of course I do.
What
a stupid question. I got a tow rope.
What the hell do you think
Check this baby out.
Why do you think I'm driving